What's up, everyone? I'm back. So I was actually out of the country for about a week or so. Regardless, I did see a few movies over my vacation. Today I'm going to be giving you my review for the latest installment in this MIB franchise, Men in Black International. Men in Black International is directed by F. Gary Gray, the guy who brought you The Fate of the Furious, Straight Outta Compton, Friday. So in this film it takes place a few years after the end of the third Men in Black film, and this is the proper way to do a soft franchise reboot of sorts. And you already have a trilogy that for the most part established a lot of good lore and concepts. You don't want to trash that. So what this does is it takes it, puts it in a different location, pays a little bit of homage to the original trilogy, but stands on its own. So Tessa Thompson is our main character here. She played Valkyrie from Thor Ragnarok and the Avengers films. And basically it starts out as the Men in Black come to her house when she's a little kid, and there's been a report that there's a monster running around her house. What do? They see the parents, they say the daughter's sleeping upstairs, and they neuralize the parents, just tell them it was a raccoon, it's probably nothing. But they didn't neuralize the daughter. So she actually knew that there was some sort of monster crawling around her house. So what happens? She spends the next 20-some years of her life trying to figure out what the heck that secret organization was about that came to her house all those years ago. And after all these years of searching, she finally gets closure. She finds one of the Men in Black facilities. As shown in the trailers, Emma Thompson is back, who played O in the previous franchise. She reprises her role and she grills Tessa Thompson's character right away. So they have a little back and forth. She gets a partner, a new threat's introduced, and we basically have our movie. So as I said, this movie stars Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth. These guys had great chemistry together in Thor Ragnarok. Regardless of how I felt about the film, I can't really deny it had that. So there's also Emma Thompson, back as Agent O, Liam Neeson, and Kumail Nanjiani. I really enjoyed Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth's characters. They really played well off of each other. As far as the comedy goes in between them, there wasn't really too many funny moments in this film. There's one or two, but not anything close to the original franchise. Liam Neeson's character, I mean, they probably just were just like, yeah, we need a stern leader and a head of this organization. Who can we get? And they probably had a laundry list of like 20 odd people, and they just chose Liam Neeson because he's that generic type of character in this film. They tried to do a little spin on his character at the end of the movie, but when everything was said and done, I didn't really care about that at all. Kumail Nanjiani plays the voice of a little alien named Pawnee, and it's the same thing as Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. He's not really that funny of a character. I didn't hate him. It's not like he's the Jar Jar Binks of the Men in Black franchise or anything like that, but if they did make another film, it wouldn't really matter if he was in it or not. I could give a shit. But the stuff that didn't really work for me was, number one, the villain. It's just stereotypical cookie cutter type of villain. It's nothing close to Boris the Animal in Men in Black 3 or the villain in the first film. They tried to work this weird Chris Hemsworth love story into the film, not with Tessa Thompson's character, which is one thing I'll say I actually enjoyed about this film, was really happy. They didn't try to get this weird love interest thing going with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. They're just strictly partners and that's it. And I'm finally happy to see that because I'm so tired of people partnering up, the two opposites attract, and you have this cookie cutter cliche movie. The CGI was wonky too. Like, some of the effects looked decent, some of the alien tech looked cool, but a lot of the creatures looked like crap compared to the first three films where they relied more on practical effects for all of the aliens and creatures. This one relied more on CGI for the creatures and only used a little bit of practical for some of them. And it just came out looking really weird and cartoony. It really just looked like they didn't fit into the scene well. They stood out like a sore thumb. And compared to all the human characters and the little bit of practical creatures that were also in some of the shots, it just didn't work at all. It looked really goofy. This is definitely better than some of the other reboots we've seen out there, where they've taken dearly beloved franchises and tried to reboot them or soft reboot, sequelize them, what have you. This is definitely way better than the female Ghostbusters film. And I would say it's more along the lines of Jurassic World, where it was decent, it was fair enough. And you know what? I wouldn't be ridiculously excited if they made another film, but I'd definitely be interested. So just to recap, the plot and the setup for this new franchise wasn't actually bad. Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth characters are pretty enjoyable. Liam Neeson, it didn't really matter if he was in the film or not. The CGI, the special effects, for the most part, they weren't bad, but there's some really noticeable cartoony CGI times. The villain was your typical superhero comic book throwaway villain. There was nothing really interesting about that. And as I stated previously, my favorite aspect of the film is all the new Men in Black tech they introduce. It's really entertaining to see them firing off new types of guns, driving new vehicles, new ways to kind of move across the world. I loved it all. I wouldn't rush out to see this. You're not missing too much, guys. But in the end, I'm okay with it. I'm content. Now, as far as where I'd place Men in Black International on this list of films that they've already done, number 1 is always going to be the first one with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. Number 2 on my list would probably be Men in Black 3. I liked the characters. I loved Boris the Animal. It was a fun movie. Men in Black International would be 3rd because, like I said, it was entertaining, nothing special. And the last one would be Men in Black 2 because I actually rewatched that a few years ago and it really just doesn't hold up. So with all that said and done, Men in Black International gets a 5.5 out of 10.